You are listening to the Superpower Radio Show with your hosts, Brenda Major
Mia Dawson.
and man, we are just thrilled we've already been talking, but we are
Yes,
thrilled
we
to
have.
have Dayna Harvey back with us. There's just so much information about water safety that people don't know, that they need to know. We were talking about now I'm going to let you share too about, how much, how there's such a lack of awareness.
Awareness. Yeah.
And I feel like you're on this one woman crusade. So we want to help you
Oh,
get
yes.
the word out to people. The weather's getting warmer.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be out, they're going to want to go swimming, whether they know how to or not, whether they're
Yes.
verbal or not.
Yes.
But, Dayna, we were at the end of it last year. Last week, you mentioned something that struck me when you said that these people who are at these pools, these, lifeguards, if you will,
Yeah.
don't have to be certified.
Okay, so lifeguards have to be certified.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So lifeguards in like a public pool situation have
Okay.
to have certification.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
a camp or a private facility, so one of the pools that I teach at
Mm-hmm.
is a private facility, and they have a post up that says no lifeguard on duty. So I guess
Oh.
so there are situations where there can be lifeguards, there can be an attendant, like let's
Okay.
say at a hotel pool or an apartment pool. All of those, they can have
Oh.
somebody there as an attendant, but they may not be certified. So you want to
Oh.
definitely ask,
Oh.
but swim instructors do not have to be certified.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
teach
like
them-
a swim instructor at like the Y doesn't have to be certified. Oh.
No.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
they can be like the
They
Y
can.
the Y has a certification program.
Okay.
There is another, Red Cross has a certification program.
Mhm.
And but in the United States, like in Virginia, where I'm at, swim instructors do not need to be certified. You can
Huh.
go to a facility and the lifeguard
Mhm.
could teach swimming lessons with no training. Somebody like myself, who is a private instructor, like
Uh-huh.
I used to swim. I could say, oh, I used to swim. If a pool is willing to rent me space, I don't have to provide any documentation if they don't care.
Wow.
Oh,
So
So there's no mandate.
there's no man.
exactly.
Oh my
I
stars.
believe, and I've been digging and have been unable to find it, but I believe in Florida, if you teach swimming lessons in a public pool, you must be certified. But
Okay.
again, even if it's mandated, there's not a lot of people running around making sure that it's actually happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, asking that question, is the instructor certified? Are they trained? How long have they been teaching? There's so many of those questions that as a parent, you have a right to ask.
Okay. Okay.
And then you can decide, right? Like, I'm not saying that being certified means you're going to get a great instructor, just like a
Correct.
teacher,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's very true.
Or that if your instructor has had 2 years of experience, that they're not going to be awesome. But as a parent, you have the right to ask the questions and have the answers to make the most informed decision for your family.
Okay.
So important.
Okay.
We know there's a significant number of kids who are nonverbal.
Yes.
So a parent looking for a program, maybe thinking, okay, well, this would be a great activity. We already mentioned before that kids tend to be attracted to water anyway.
Yes.
Be a good resource, but how in the world will a parent, what is the process in finding a place? And should a nonverbal kid maybe be persuaded to do something other than?
No, I think so. I have a little boy in my life. I have a number of kids, but Jackson is a child that I started teaching when he was 3. About 3 and a half, and he was nonverbal. prone to elopement. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Mm,
And his mom was just, she came to me because, again, in my community, my program is one of the most recommended from the doctors that are diagnosing ASD. Um, and so, we had to make a couple really, really big, not adjustments, but I had to make accommodations for Jackson.
mm,
He was in an integrated class with 3 other students. Okay, so when parents are looking for a program, one, you want to look to ask if they have any kind of special needs certification or training.
okay.
Okay.
The program,
Okay.
I've done 2 programs here, or in the last few years. But the one that I recommend, it's called Autism Swim, and it's
Mm,
out of Australia. And
Oh,
parents can go, and so, but they certify lots in the US. So
okay.
parents can go to their website and type in, I guess, their postal code or the zip code and see if there is an instructor close by them or not. There's another program in the United States called Swim Angelfish. They're more adapted aquatics, so not
Okay.
necessarily specifically for autism.
okay.
It
Okay.
is part of their program, but for me, Autism Swim was a more complete program working with children with ASD.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
you know,
That's
you
cool.
yeah, so there are resources out there, and
Mhm.
again, I'm happy to help parents navigate that
Okay.
world. Um,
That,
it's, they need to know, do you want a one-on-one class? How does your child work? So one of the things, I don't remember if I showed you the last time, whether I showed you in person or not, but so with Jackson, one of the things that I did with him is I used a blue kickboard for
Yeah.
both
yeah,
ends of the pool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
So
that.
it allowed him a space to be safe, a
Uh,
space to stim if he needed to.
if he
Mhm.
needed to.
Right? He could splash the water. He could, as long as his little bum was on that blue mat, that we were good. So, and when we were first working with that, I had to get his mom to stand behind him, and but he was engaging with me. If he went to stand up, his mom would sit him back down and say, no, on our blue mat. So we used very, very small amounts of words, a very specific place that he was going to be, and it happened every single class.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
if some days we were doing really well and we could sit on the edge of the pool and be, he could sit there. As soon as he started to stim, because I didn't want him to fall in the water,
Right.
Right.
we would take the mat and just move it back. So in my program, so the A in the watching initiative is assign a waiting area. That was Jackson's waiting area at swim lessons.
Okay.
So I created these maps. So my water safety kit
Mm-hmm.
includes this map. So this is Wilson, right? Our Wilson
Yeah, I
that has
remember
ASD.
yeah, we got introduced to him before. He was cute.
Yes.
So
Very
he now,
good.
I've written a post that's going to be coming out that talks about Wilson being a superhero. So he has a red cape on too.
Oh, awesome.
It's going to be, yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
that is
But
awesome.
so, so this little mat, it's thin, it's a kickboard material, so it's light, and it's waterproof, clearly. But that's kind of how that part of the water safety kit came to
Yeah.
me. I saw for Jackson that it kept him safe. He could be
Okay.
in lessons. Even if I was doing him one-on-one, I would still be using that kind of a thing because it helps to train his little brain that where there's water, I will wait.
You
Mm-hmm.
know
I'm
what I
not
think
going.
is so significant. I see why you really do have to, or it would be beneficial for an instructor to have some kind of a certification when you're working with
Yes,
kids on the spectrum or any kind of neurodiverse situation or any kind of a
yes,
special need. Because I mean, in Mia, you've talked about this, and even with neurotypical kids, parents are really always trying to figure out what can I get him into that's going to get him excited, that's going to
Yeah.
challenge
yes,
him, that's going to,
Yeah.
make him happy? What activity can he do? And so I just was imagining that a nonverbal kid can't tell you.
Yeah.
yes.
So how did you and maybe Jackson's mom even work out, like, because how you communicate with him, I think is great. How did you develop that?
I,
How did
I,
that come
I
about?
think one of it, I mean, by the time I had been working with Jackson, which 6 years ago, so I mean, I had already been working with kids long before it was ever really diagnosed as autism. You know, lots of
Mhm.
kids with ADD, ADHD, and probably when I look back now, a lot of those kids, I mean, I had children with Asperger's,
Mhm.
you
Mm.
know, before it was such a thing. But so I don't know, I instinctively can just
Wow.
feel and I know, and so I would use small word sets. I would use repetitive words over and over and
Mm.
over and over and over. So, Jackson didn't need 18 skills in 30 minutes. We
Yeah,
would do,
yeah,
and again, this is the same as I do with my neurotypical kids,
Mm-hmm.
but with
yeah.
Jackson, I just had to make some adjustments. And to me, my students are individual people. They're not a class. Like Jackson is Jackson. He's special to me.
Mm.
But as are the other kids. So meeting his need where he was at. So we would do every day at the beginning of lessons, the first thing we do, we sit down and we wait. And then everybody waits their turn and we do bubbles first. So we're submerging, we do bubbles. That's skill one. After we're done that, then the next skill we'll do one day would be working on back floats. And then if we were working on back floats, and we were good, then we were working on kicking. And then at the end of every lesson, we jump in, the
Mm.
kids jump, they roll on their back, and then we return back to the wall.
Okay.
So we really don't need a lot of words to
Okay.
do that. Really,
Uh,
it's actions. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Um, and in this case, that's really what it was. So Jackson learned to blow bubbles. Jackson learned to do a back float. There's a lot of physical manipulation
Mm.
because children with with ASD sometimes have a really hard time with their body. They
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how their body feels in space. And there's a big word for that, begins with P, and I can't pronounce it, so I won't even try.
That's
Um,
okay.
but within some programs they talk about using ankle weights, like a 1 pound, half-pound weight on their wrists and on their ankles, so that when they're laying back and unable to look at their body, they can begin to feel their body. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
there's all kinds of tools and resources out there for anybody that is working with kids, that are just, and I call them special learners. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care what their thing is. Um, and then aligning yourself as an instructor with somebody who does have a lot of experience. We don't have to be in the same facility anymore.
Mm.
The technology has given us an
That's
amazing
true.
That's true.
opportunity to work like this, where you can call somebody up and say, hey, I've got a child that's struggling with this, give me some ideas. And go
And
from
you're
there.
making a point about them getting comfortable because Neo is in swim lessons. We had it today. So I was excited. I
Yeah,
get to talk to you because he had it today. Now you're right. His body is getting comfortable because he
yes,
enjoyed swimming and he liked it. But now you're seeing, I can see as the mom, because I know, oh, now
yes,
his body is relaxing. And he went and he spent mm, 10, 15 minutes in the deep end. And that's something he
Wow.
didn't want anything to
right,
do with. He didn't want to, and he kind of, and now he's like, Mom, I can touch the ground. So she wanted him getting used to kind of just stepping down,
yes,
kind of dropping his body, letting
yes,
him feel what that feels like. And so you're right about them having their own space and kind of feeling it for
yeah,
himself. And it's taken 4 or 5 weeks, but
yeah.
now I can see him kind of, I can see his body relaxing.
You'll feel it like an instructor. I can feel it when they're
Yeah.
like this, and
It's,
it's like like a cooked spaghetti. They become like
yeah,
little
because she
noodles.
kept telling me, she was like, Mia, he's so tense. And I was like, huh? Because I was on the other side working out. So it's a huge pool. And I was on the other side working out, and she'll come and say, I said, he's tense. I said, he loves the water. But now I started to pay attention. I can see it. I said,
Yes,
oh, he's
yes,
starting to I could just see him relax more and he's enjoying
yeah.
it. Yeah. It's taken
And
like
so
5 weeks, but he's getting there.
well, and so for some kids it takes a lot longer. Like
Yeah.
Jackson's mom sent me a video of him, going down to the bottom. I mean, he's 9 now, so he
Okay.
hasn't been in lessons for a while, but he knows that he cannot go
Okay.
in water on his own because that's all that he knows.
Mm.
Okay.
Mom and dad are always there with him, either
Yeah.
in the water or sitting like right with him.
Yeah.
And all of those things. But to watch a child, verbal or non,
Hmm.
when you are paying attention to their body language,
Yeah.
I can tell, there are
Yeah.
some things with children with ASD, how they hold their body,
Yeah.
how they hold
Mhm.
their eyes. So when they're doing back floats, and that you've got to lift your chin to be able to pull your chest up like that. And for children sometimes with ASD, when I say eyes on my eyes, they have a really hard time holding that eye
Correct.
Yeah.
contact. Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I've got to be able to come up with other things. So sometimes, this, or I'll put my finger up and
Uh,
I'll pull it back here and move it so their eyes can follow it a little bit, but we're still accomplishing the goal. So
yeah.
again, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's a lot of years of figuring out
Oh,
kids. So, ask the questions about the instructors and
for
and
sure.
sometimes people don't need to be trained. Again, when I first started working with kids with ASD, I wasn't trained, but some people will just have more of an inclination
Yeah.
to
I agree with
to
that.
hone in on a child as a person
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and get to know them as a person. Like, I don't need Jackson to speak words to me. I knew when he wanted me to touch him.
Yeah.
Some
Yep.
days he had to ride on my back, and other
Yeah.
days he'd be like this. Or this. He didn't. Nope. I
They
needed
want,
zero
yeah.
words to know what that meant. He and I had our own communication system. And,
Yes.
so when we do bubbles, I'd say, okay, Jax, are we doing to whatever, like 4 or 5? And he wasn't saying 4 or 5, but he would respond to the number. If I left a big enough gap, if I said
Mhm.
4,
Oh, then he would know
and
where
there'd
to
be
point.
nothing, and 5, and he'd, so,
Mm.
right?
Very
So
good.
they're communicating. They
Learning their
truly
communication. Yeah.
Yeah.
are communicating. But here in the end, Brenda, when you asked, what if they're nonverbal? They are still prone to drowning.
Mm.
So
Mm.
maybe swimming lessons in and of itself to begin with isn't a family's most comfortable first step,
Hmm.
but teaching water safety, teaching where there's water, I will wait,
Mm-hmm.
using some of those skills and those tools to teach them from the bathtub. We do not get in the bathtub without that verbal permission. Um, all of those things can be done. And when you take your kids to the pool, for some exposure, a lot of families don't have access to water all the time, or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's not top of mind. Hey, let's go to the pool on a Wednesday night. But
Yeah.
exposure to the environment is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
critical in helping them be successful.
Yeah. Dana, can you just go through for the caregivers who are listening, what is that acronym for watching?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's a big one, and I'm going to go fast because there's so much. But again, so all of this is on the blog. Right
Okay.
now,
Yeah,
there's
it
like,
is.
we're up to the H blog. Each week I post a new one. So this is called the Watching Initiative. And it came to be because in my industry, that kind of the industry standard talked about something called the 5 layers of protection. And the first layer of protection is adult supervision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't feel like that word is, well, to supervise means to observe.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sorry, we can't just observe our children when we're at the water. We must be watching. So the
Hmm.
word watching means to be alertly on the lookout.
What?
Well,
Oh,
right.
oh.
So I took what my industry has said for years and years and years as their standard and said, I agree with it. But it's in the wrong order and we're missing
Mm.
some things, because
Mm-hmm.
if it was working, we would be watching drowning rates drop, not go up.
That's a
Hmm.
fact.
Hmm.
So over the last, kind of year, I put together the Watching Initiative. So the W stands for who is CPR certified.
Mm.
Um, I don't, CPR is not a swimming thing or a water thing. I believe it's a parenting thing. Every
Yeah.
parent should have a CPR certification.
Mm.
And again, without going into all the stats, we know that if there is a water emergency and CPR is performed within the first 4 minutes, a child has a much better chance of sustaining that drowning incident and being okay. Unless your EMS, unless
Mhm.
you catch an incident that fast and your EMS is less than a minute away, I would really, really strongly encourage parents to go and get CPR certified. It's important. Okay, so then the A is assign a waiting area. And that's, so using the mat, one of the other components is this tape. So the red
Oh,
tape
yeah.
says closed, I will wait.
I will wait.
So,
Yeah.
we put this in our bathroom. The other tape is where we actually create a waiting area. This says I will wait
So
here.
I will wait. Okay, so red,
Yep.
closed.
Red is
We'll wait. Okay.
closed.
All right.
And so the waiting area has come to be really, I mean, I've been using the word wait for my entire career, which is one of the reasons why
Well,
I can run 4 2-year-olds in a class without incidences.
that assign a waiting area, that's not just at a pool though either,
No.
right? I mean, that's like
Right.
anywhere where a kid could get into
Right.
some water. So that could be
Yes,
in the house, the toilet, the
in
sink,
the bathroom.
the
Yeah,
tub,
in the
the
bathroom.
shower
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
When you go to the beach, when you go to a hotel with a pool. I actually
Yeah.
just got a family that went to Myrtle Beach for spring break, and they sent me a picture. They took their mats and their tape with them and set it up on
Oh,
the deck of the hotel pool. This is becoming part of
um,
their life,
That's
so that
the
awesome.
their
light.
children understand it's not just Miss Dayna's pool or the bathroom. It goes with us to all of
Okay,
these
it travels with
places.
you.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
really, when you think about waiting areas, I liken it to a car seat, right? In our cars,
Wow.
we have a waiting area in a car seat. The kids don't, that's not negotiable.
Right.
Yeah.
Around water, we also need to have a waiting area because drowning is the #1 cause of accidental death, not car wrecks. It's
Right.
drowning. So, we've got to do better where that is concerned. And if, again, in the swimming lesson world, they talked a lot about um, self-rescue. It's gone from me. Self-rescue, where a child can fall into water, roll on their back, and get back to the wall. That's called self-rescue. I
Oh,
believe children can be taught to self-rescue before we ever get into water. If
Wow.
we can teach our children where there's water, I will wait. I will never go into water without an invitation or permission. We're going to cut those drowning rates because of that.
That's tremendous.
Um,
So they were up to that T.
so T is it's another weird word combination. It's called touch watching. So again, in my industry, normally they would say touch supervision. So for me, anytime
oh,
that word supervision comes into place, I replace it with watching.
Gotcha.
okay.
So if a child is not an independent, safe swimmer without a device on, parent must be in the water. Because
Ah,
if you allow a child to go into water on their own once, they're going to think that that's okay. They don't understand. One time it's okay, the next time it's not going to be okay.
sure. Right.
So
Mhm.
touch watching incorporates the tactile. We are within arm's reach of our children, and we are watching. We are actively engaged
Active
in the
watching.
care of our children. So the C is kind of offensive. People find this one difficult. Cell phones down so children don't drown,
Wow.
Oh,
right?
That
So
okay, and you know what's so interesting about that is because we so often think that it's only teenagers and kids who are cell phone addicted, but you're telling us really that this is for parents.
this is for parents.
Okay.
We don't text and drive because we're worried about our
Mm-hmm.
passengers.
mhm.
We can't have it at the pool. So in the C blog post, I go through some statistics that are almost staggering. Okay. So I did some research, and this study showed that we touch our phones 2,617 times a day.
In a day? What?
Like touch that screen. So
I
it's
thought you were gonna say a week, and even
no,
that's crazy. In a
it,
day?
in a day.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that means like go from post to post. It's literally touch the phone. So it's not pick it up. It's touch.
Just touching.
Oh, That is
It-
What was
insane.
that number again?
2,617.
That's
It was
insane.
it was a study done by businessinsider.com. The link to the actual study is on my website.
Oh my God.
It says that the average amount of time we spend on our phones each day is 4 hours and 25 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
So when I did the math out, it says basically to the number of times and this and that, the average that we are on our phones is 2 minutes per time. If you are on your phone for 2 minutes while your child is in the water and they are not safe, they are not competent, they're going to drown.
Wow.
Like drowning will happen with little ones in less than 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and
Wow.
I've seen something. I thought about you because now I'm looking differently because I was at the Y. It was actually when I was just working out. The kids weren't with me. And a parent came in and she sat her bag down and here goes her kid running to the water and she's putting her phone up and I'm like running almost to the water and the lifeguard's getting up because her back is turned and it's
Mm.
turned for good seconds to a minute and the baby's 1, 2 walking towards the water and I'm like, what are you doing? And so you're
Mm.
making me be more aware after
Yes.
talking to you. But she was trying to put her bag up. She was trying to put her phone up and she completely turned around and that kid was heading for the water.
Yep.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so that with my program, even my little ones, 6, 8 months old, these maps, parents take them to the pool, you put it down, and then they know I'm going to sit and wait.
Sit.
So
I'm
a
gonna say,
parent doesn't have to
John
go through
Wilson.
that chaos because their children have been shown exactly where they are expected to be. And
yeah,
they know because of repetition and practice what is expected of them. So
yeah,
in my swim program, I can have 4 2-year-olds in a class. I can send them down the pool to their mats. They just go and sit and wait there. I can talk to the parents if I need to, and the children just sit and wait. Nobody's trying to go in the pool. Nobody's running around acting like crazy people.
yeah.
Because
That little
that,
kid was trying to get in that
I
pool and
know.
she was yelling and I was like, he's not listening. He wants to get in the
No.
pool. And so so she was yelling like, come back. He was not coming back. I was like, oh my gosh, you have
Yeah.
to stop and get the child. Like go get your child. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're absolutely, it's seconds because she was
Mm.
turned around for seconds.
Yeah.
And that kid was off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it happens, it's people want
Right.
to with drownings, they want to talk about, oh, it's a bad parent or whatever. You know what? We've all been bad parents.
Yes.
And in a
Yeah.
moment or time, we've all had,
Yep.
I call it a lack of watching. To me, it's really a lapse of watching.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so
like
like when you watch a video, a parent's posted of a child sitting on the floor covered in flour and we're laughing,
Mhm.
haha, that's so funny.
Mhm.
That's not a lack of watching. That's a lapse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They weren't watching in that exact moment or two. And it's funny when it's flour or it's lipstick or it's paint or a marker. It's not funny when it's a drown.
What is the
Amen.
drown? Yeah.
So what's that H for?
So the
I've been
H
trying to
is
figure
to
that one
have,
out.
well, so H is to have personal flotation devices or appropriate life jackets for the appropriate situation. And this is a huge one. I'm actually on May 4th, and I'll send you guys this link. On May
Okay.
4th, I'm going to do a Facebook Live event called Life Jackets, the Good, the Bad, and the Never Ending Controversy. Because there's so much, people say, well, my life jacket is Coast Guard approved. What does that mean?
I was going to ask you, what does that mean?
Yeah. I was like, what does that mean? Yeah.
So what it means is that it has gone through clinical testing and it is meant to be on a boat so that if your boat gets pulled over, you will not get a ticket.
Oh.
Life jackets are not tested on children in the water.
Mm.
They go, yeah. So it's a process. And again, I reached out to an organization called Boat US Foundation, and they really helped me get to the bottom of it because I figure if I don't know, and I truly I know, but I didn't know all the ins and outs about it.
Yeah.
So on my website, this was the blog post all written out. It's 6 pages, and that's only half of it.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
a lot of information.
So appropriate flotation.
Yep.
Okay. So then
Appropriate.
the I can't
Is
imagine.
install the gates, alarms, barriers, all the things to keep your children away from water. So if you have a backyard pool, You have alarms on your doors and on your windows. You have, if you have a doggy door or like a pet door, you figure out a way to secure that because children can get through them and out onto water.
Yeah, they,
You know,
yeah.
before, so yeah, gates, alarms, barriers. So self-latching gate doors on your pool. You know, a lot of pools, and every state is different as to what their laws are, to
Okay.
what the fencing requirements are. So
Oh,
if where you're at, you don't need a fence, you can have a fence around your property, but not, you don't need around the actual pool. You know, you've got a whole set of other problems
Yeah.
if your child can get from the house directly to the pool.
Cool. Yeah.
So again, part of that for me is installing the red tape,
okay.
right? So I've got families with a pool and we have the tape across the door that leads out to the pool. If it's fenced, we have this across the fence. We have it across the stairs at the pool to close it. But the everyday place that we use it is in our bathrooms.
Yeah.
So we
Mm.
put it up wall to wall across the bathroom. And then when we go in for a bath, we open it. When we're done with the bath, we close it.
Okay.
Teaching the children that, you know, we're not going in water when it's not appropriate, when we haven't
Right.
been given
Yeah.
permission or
Okay.
an invitation. So
How
yeah,
about that
install.
N?
And then N is never leave a water environment without checking and double checking all of the entry and exit points. You
Oh,
know how at night when you go to bed, you go around, make sure all your doors are locked and all the
yeah.
lights are on. You know, or every 6 months you change the batteries in your fire, in your
Yeah, fire and smoke detectors.
Fire
Yeah.
and smoke.
smoke
Yeah.
spills. It's the same kind of thing here. We need to have the same muscle memory. If your child has access to a water environment, you need to be that diligent and more. Because
Okay.
all it takes, and I mean, and people can Google it. In Maryland, a number of years ago, there was a mom who had twins, and from again, the reports, I've not spoken to this person, so I don't know, but what the report said is they were having a nap together. The children woke up, the mom did not. The children accessed the pool and they drowned.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Oh.
So,
oh,
I mean, all of it
woo.
makes, and please don't think that by me just kind of glossing over it, that it doesn't bother me. If I really get into it, it's overwhelming to me that
Woo.
there's so much work to still be done.
Yeah.
To keep these children safer because their parents have more education, they have more knowledge. So, you know, if you have water in your, like, even if you have in Florida, you have a canal that's close. For children with ASD who are elopers, they will find the water,
They sure will. They
right?
sure
They
will.
will find it. And it may not be right on your property.
Right.
Maybe, you know, or your neighbor has a pool, or 3 doors down has a pool. You can't control what those people do with their water environments, but you can control your own. So
Yeah.
we never, ever, ever leave a water environment, be it yours or somebody else's, without checking and double checking. You know, another one is when you're on vacation, when your children are not used to having access to water and you go to a
Yes.
vacation home that
Yes.
has water, you've got to start educating them long before you ever get there. You have
Yeah.
to. You can't just, especially with children who have a special learning need, you cannot just show up and go, well, look, we've got a pool. Let's, you know, let's not go in it, right?
Yeah.
We're
Right.
excited for it. We want to go, but there's no rules and there's no boundaries around it. We have to begin long before we ever get there, especially with our kids that have ASD.
Wow.
And then the last letter is G.
Mm-hmm.
And people are always like, why did you put that one last? G is get your children enrolled in a quality results producing swim lesson program. The reason why it's last is because I am completely well aware that there will be more children that will not be able to access swimming lessons than
Yeah.
will be, for
Yeah.
so many reasons. You
Yeah.
know, there are not enough instructors, never mind
Correct.
certified ones, but there's not enough instructors. There's not enough pool time. You know, families have crazy work schedules that don't allow that. Financially, we might not. And we've talked about this with, you know, with a racial divide for many, many years, you know, in the 60s, people of color were not even allowed in a white person's pool.
They
Yeah,
were not.
that's a fact.
They were not. That's a fact.
So why would we need to worry about that swimming lessons if it's not part of our culture? And that
Correct.
is a generational thing.
Mhm.
So, we at some point we want to break that with swim lessons. Yes, that is what I have spent 36 years of my life doing, and it is important. But like I said, I recognize the fact that self-rescue, teaching water safety, can be done outside of swimming lessons. Whether or not your child ever gets swim lessons, you can have a family that is water safe.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
There it is. That's it. Watching
Well,
initiative
I was
done.
gonna say that's a
Love
good
it.
place to end for
It
now.
is. It is. It is. Yes,
But
it is.
we've got a ton more questions, so we're definitely gonna have you back.
Yes.
This is just it's so critical
Yes.
that everybody needs to know, needs to understand. And there's something that all of us can do, whether you have kids or not. If
Yes. Yes.
if you see kids, you need to know what to do.
Yes.
If
And
you
if you
know
have a
people who
pool,
have kids, you need to know
yes.
how to advise them to keep their
Yes.
kids safe.
Yes. Yes.
So what I really hope that can begin to happen now is, as you and us
Mhm.
continue these conversations, for the people that are really tuning in, go and read the blogs,
Yeah.
and then come back with questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
On through the social medias or through your website or through my website. I mean, clearly
Absolutely.
we will be in communication about this,
Correct.
but go and do the research. It's critical.
Wow.
Know and then ask. Know and then ask.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, again, we're gonna have you back on because I've
Yes.
already
We're
started
Are we
writing
done
more
already?
questions. But for now, thank you so much, Dana.
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah, we're gonna get this crusade out with you for sure.
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
and
You've been listening to the Superpower Radio Show with your host Brenda Major and
Mia Dawson.
our special guest Dayna Harvey, and we will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
absolutely. Bye, girls.